You are listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network.
Yatti's ball. Here we are, 22nd minute of overtime. Marshall, step behind the defense. Ruiz is in. Ruiz is shot. Ruiz. That's it. LA are the champions. It's in a race to get back. Beckham is going to fly it over the halfway line, and he's going to hit him up the net. What a goal from David Beckham.
You are listening to the MLS Postgame Show, live on SPN Radio, powered by the Sports Podcasting Network.
Wondolowski settles, drives, he scores! Wando does it again, 1-1.
Laid off left side, and the blast is in far side, and it's 1-0. And the shutout streak of the Red Bulls is over, and so is the streak of games without a goal for Marco Cavallo.
And good day, good night, and welcome to the MLS Postgame Show for Week 6. Yes, already Week 6. And it started off Friday with late Friday night. LA Galaxy at home versus the Montreal Impact. The Montreal Impact coming into this game still winless in 2017 and coming out of this game still winless in 2017. A blunder by the goalkeeper, kind of, Evan Bush, at the 15th minute. A decent shot from 20 yards, 18 yards, 20 yards by Alessandrini, but it was not the shot with a lot of pace. It was on the grass, like really close to the ground, with some pace and weight. Evan Bush was caught on the wrong grain of the run, so he had to come back to make the save. Slipped, lost his footing, couldn't make the save. 1-0 Galaxy. But what we will remember from this game is the phantom foul from Marco Donadel to Jermaine Jones. The foul that I have still not been able to see after about 28 different review of this replay. I do not see the foul where it is, different angles. I've tried to locate it, and I still don't see a foul. Never mind a yellow. Never mind a straight red for Marco Donadel. Jermaine Jones, like mentioned by many on Twitter, has come to LA glitz and glamour of Hollywood, but you don't have to take the acting on the pitch. Jermaine Jones has been under a lot of scrutiny over the last few weeks, and it's going to continue with this type of behavior. He scored the second goal. Galaxy wins 2-0 at home. For Montreal, one few positives this year so far. You know, Montreal lost their opening game. They lost this one, had 3 draws in between. They're going to face Atlanta at home on Saturday, and it's not going to be easy. Saturday at 1 p.m., Atlanta is looking really good still this year. And this game is not a given for Montreal. No. But go back on this Galaxy game, the phantom, and it's the week of phantom fouls, phantom red cards. There was one in the Toronto game as well, but we'll get to that later on. Now, Galaxy, a win, very important for Montreal. Still no win in 2017. They did have some positive, like I was going to mention. Jair Valutabla played another great game. 90-minute performance that got him a lot of looks on goal. Almost a goal, a couple of occasions. Unfortunately, their best chance came off Asun Kamara on the free kick at the 27th minute, but about 8 minutes later, Sun Kamara got a head injury, what seems to be right now a head injury, by the way. He fell really hard on the grass and his head bounced on the pitch. We hope Asun is doing good. So that wraps up our first game of Week 6 in Major League Soccer. By the way, my name is Kevin Laramee. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee. Chicago Columbus. It continues for Chicago. Great pass by Dax McCarty to Nikolic. And it's 1-0. Chicago. No Bastian. This time he did play in the game. That's not what I'm saying, but he was not the catalyst of the attacks in the midfield. Dax McCarthy was. Dax McCarthy is going to be that catalyst. And when he will, like he is going to, Chicago's going to be successful. Chicago 1, Columbus 2. Now moving on to New England Dynamo. Atrocious first half. Yes, I have to agree with you. But New England were opportunists when they had poacher goals. They finished them, and pretty much the worst Houston game this season so far for the Dynamo. They have played terrible in this game. Revolution were able to get the 2 goals, were able to get the poach in, bury in the empty net, the ball bounces back to, on their own feet, but for Revolution, it's a step in the right direction. Not easiest beginning of the season. Yes, the postponed game does not help the optics of the amount of points in the table, but for the Revolution, home game, a win, they will take it on that god awful turf of Foxborough. DC United, NYCFC, too little, too late for New York City. FC could not get the equalizer for DC United. They did. NYCFC have starting to play a 3-5-2 now on that short field and actually cuts the chances and the angles that you can pull off against NYCFC. Since that change, it's been somewhat successful. DC United with a lucky type of goal here, but 2-1 DC United at home at RFK Stadium. Philly, Portland, could have been more. Darlington Navi's first goal of the season. 3-1 Portland versus Philly at in Chester, Pennsylvania, right next to the lake where it gets pretty chilly. And now Toronto FC Atlanta. I was going to talk about this game. Javin goes back. Morrow with the go-ahead goal. Atlanta equalized just a few minutes later. Atilba is having the game of his life. I just not be happy. It's like you cannot not be happy. So that is a great situation for Atlanta going forward. Toronto, Atlanta. It was a cracker of a game. Entertaining, good quality. That's what surprised me. We've talked about the Revolution and how it's a struggle to watch them play sometimes, especially at Foxborough, and how it's a different type of game. It's a comedy of errors, maybe at some point. Toronto FC versus Atlanta is not a comedy of error whatsoever. Toronto FC versus Atlanta was a quality game. Quality finishes, opportunities. The way Almiron is launching Altuba, that way was amazing. Atlanta is going to be quite an opponent for Montreal on Saturday at Stade Saputo. I'm quite excited I'll be at that game, so giving you some coverage for Canadian soccer news. So that will be a fun Saturday. But going back to Atlanta on the road, Toronto FC got 2 goals, got a point. Atlanta continues to be impressive in the Eastern Conference, and Toronto FC, well, another draw this season. But hey, Javinko scored, so at least there's that. Speaking of scoring, FC Dallas could have put a lot more than 2 goals in this game. They could have scored maybe 4 in the early first half, sorry. 43rd and 49th minute for the goals, but Barrios impressed me in this one. The whip balls that he's providing in the midfield and the amount of generating movement, ball going forward. Barrios is instrumental and influential for Dallas on the pitch, and I really like what I'm seeing for Barrios. He scored the second goal. He whipped in on the first one. But here, Minnesota, it's deceiving. Minnesota did have a lot of chances to score in the second half. Talking about a great Johan Venegas goal, a great Christian Ramirez near miss. A lot of chances, though, for Minnesota in the second half. So it's not all bleak. It's not all doom and gloom. And it's not just all terrible for Minnesota to win 2-0 win for Dallas. But Minnesota did have some chances, generated 13 shots, 6 on net, 5 off net, and 2 blocks. You do kind of have the feeling, though, that just it's not going in Minnesota's way. A few inches or a foot here and there, and they would have scored maybe once or twice tonight. Dallas might have scored more if you add the a foot here and there, true, but Minnesota did create more chances than the scoreboard would lead on. And even the stats, if you look at the stats right now of the chances for Minnesota, it was very, very limited. But 17 crosses, 8 corners. They're trying to generate some chances. And Venegas had a better game than the last few ones. So there's another positive for Minnesota. But again, it's another loss. And once we look in the standings, once we're done the recap of the games, we'll see how difficult it's going to be for Minnesota already to try to climb the table. Speaking of climbing the table, RSL under Mike Petke, his first game officially in charge, standing ovation when the game started, when he was announced. And this game became so weird so quickly. And this eventually the blizzard fell onto Rio Tinto Stadium on the riot and made an appearance for the orange ball. Came out. Sorry about that. Live radio. The orange ball came out for the second time this season. And no, it wasn't Minnesota. It was at RSL of all places, at the Whitecaps. But RSL was able to take advantage of the weather and the situation in the second half and bury 3 goals past David Usted and get a crucial victory for RSL at home. Debut of Mike Petke as their new coach. It is starting off well for Petke. A crazy, weird game. You have to watch the highlight, the chances, the evolution of this game, and the basically no injury time whatsoever. At the 90th minute, Vladimir Toledo looked at his watch, looked at the field under like almost a foot of snow, like, nah, I'm going home. No extra time here. That was Vladimir Toledo's basically feeling after 90 minutes. A very weird 90 minutes. San Jose won, Seattle won. The defending champions traveling to Northern California, to San Jose to Santa Clara to be more precise, to battle the Quakes. The Quakes at Avaya Stadium. Here they were trailing up until late in the game, and the Goonies appeared out of nowhere. But for the Quakes, Urania still looking very dangerous. The chemistry that Wondolowski is developing with Urania is getting to be quite impressive on the pitch, especially at home. We've seen it on the road too, but at home, it has created some results early on in this season. But still, Urania has looked impressive, and if it wasn't for a great game by Stephen Fry, a few saves that he did on his head, one of them literally, you would have a different result. But San Jose late in the game get the equalizer, and almost just a minute after that, in extra time, just before the last whistles, almost got the winner for San Jose, but it wasn't meant to be. Seattle holds on for a draw on the road. Not too bad for the defending champions. Moving on to Sunday's game, Orlando, New York Red Bulls. In Orlando, well, 1-0 New York. 1-0 Orlando. Orlando continues to have success this year, even though Kaká is still injured. 3 more points for the Lions. On the scoreboard for the Rebels, it's a defeat, could become costly over the next few weeks, but in the Eastern Conference, nobody's really running away with it. Once again, few wins, few losses, a lot of draws in the first 6 weeks of Major League Soccer, so nobody's running away with the table. And the last game tonight, Sunday night, Sporting Kansas City at home versus Colorado. Kansas City 3, Colorado 1. Yes, we didn't talk about it, but the trade for Sam Cronin for Minnesota and the Colorado trade really is paying dividends for Minnesota so far. Sam Cronin has had two great shots stopped by the goalkeeper in Minnesota's game against Dallas yesterday. But Sam Cronin has become one of the best players on the pitch for Minnesota now. Every time he steps on it, so that trade might be one-sided for now. In the future, it will be different to assess with the different asset that Colorado did get for that trade. But Kansas City, the awakening of the 2017 version of Dom Dwyer, a goal, an assist, 3-1, a late penalty for against Colorado, against Kansas City for Colorado that took the clean sheet away. It was a 5 out of 6 clean sheet streak, if that thing could be called a streak, that was into play, and it did not end with this little goal conceded with a foul in the box, and then they had the one goal in. But Kansas City, impressive in this victory at home. They needed it. Now Kansas City is happy with this 3 points. Let's go to the standings. Let's start with the Eastern Conference. Dead last in the Eastern Conference with 2 points, the Philadelphia Union. 10th with 3 points. The Montreal Impact ninth with 7 points. Already a gap between the Impact and the Union, with TFC at ninth with 7 points. DC United 7 points at 8. New York Rebels 7 points at 7. NYCFC 7 points at 6. You see a trend here. New England Revolution fifth with 7. Moves on to Chicago fourth with 8 points. Same for Atlanta, and third Orlando second with 9. And top of the Eastern Conference as of right now, the Columbus Crew, even though they were defeated by the Fire Saturday. Number 11 in the Western Conference, Minnesota United with 4 points. Vancouver Whitecaps 4 points. In 10th, the Rapids ninth with 4 points. Moving on to Salt Lake in 8th with 5 points. Seattle Sounders, the reigning defending undisputed MLS Cup champions, in 7th with 6 points. LA Galaxy just above the red line at 6 with 6 points. San Jose Earthquake 5th with 7 points. Kansas City 4 with 9 points. Dynamo 3 with 9. Dallas second in the Western Conference with 10. And league leaders so far in 2017, the Portland Timbers with 13 points. Top of the league. Yes, it is, my friends, top of the league. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee, and follow the show at Soccer Today SPN and at SportsPodNet. Stay tuned Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday this week. We will be live at 10 a.m. on the Sports Podcasting Network. One pre-recorded show is going to drop mid Thursday afternoon, mid Thursday night. And then we're taking a little break this weekend for different holidays. So we're not going to do the live show Friday or Monday, still up for grabs, but for sure Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be an extended weekend for Dwayne and I this week for Soccer Today. But until next time, I'm Kevin Laramee. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Laramee. That's at KEVLARAMEE. Facebook.com/Kev Laramee as well. And until next time, have a great soccer. You were listening to SPN, the Sports Podcasting Network. Visit us, sportspodcastingnetwork.com.